Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Why are all these people here? All right. Let's start with athlete recognition.
Okay, so first we have our scholar athlete recognition. From the boys varsity volleyball team, we have 4 students: Cameron Freed, Caleb Safari, Constantine Popovic, Santino Patroci. From the Millbrook girls and boys varsity cross country, we had 3 students: Adeline Francia, Julia Hogenkamp, and Dylan Vasquez. We also had the Millbrook and Utah merged girls varsity soccer. We had 4 students: Lillian Gusikoff, Valentina Furtado, Lily Kuzera, and Maddie Kruger. And from the boys varsity golf team, we had Jacob Zmedowski and Tyler Priestwick. We also had a team that was honored, which is our girls volleyball team, which they are here. So they were honored as a team because the team's overall average was greater than a 90%. So that's a huge accomplishment to excel in athletics as well as academically. But we also had some students who qualified individually: Natalie Fox, Ciara Gray, Riley Hart, Lydia Kasak, Nina Lapine, Marissa Marcoux, Samantha Morais, Kimura O'Farrell, Carmela Renzo, Gabriela Resto, Olivia Weinkoop, and Haley Zamborski, each qualified individually, having the same honor as the rest of the students that I had mentioned, with an overall average of 90 or better. So congratulations to all of our scholar athletes. We also have the volleyball team here, so I will say a couple words and then Coach, if you just want to introduce them.
Certainly.
So the girls volleyball team this year had a really successful season that ended in the state semifinal game at the New York State tournament. In addition to being successful on the court, they were also awarded with the Team Sportsmanship Award, which is really exciting because that is chosen by a tournament committee, and it's based on not just their behavior at the actual tournament, but also there's recommendations that are taken into account from local vendors, restaurants, the hotel management. So it's really an honor for them to be recognized as a team. And actually Millbrook's volleyball team has been recognized 5 times out of the 8 last trips up to the state tournament. So that's certainly something that we are very proud of, because it shows that, you know, not only are they excelling athletes, but they're also very fine individuals that are representing our community. Additionally, there were some other athletic accolades that were granted upon these athletes. So Marissa Marcoux and Gianna DiPilato were also named to the all-tournament team, which is really awesome. And Gianna was the New York State Player of the Week, which was voted on by the American Volleyball Coaches Association. So congratulations for that. And we also have Coach Stoliker, who was the Section 9 Volleyball Coach of the Year. So congratulations to that team.
Thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it. With us here today, we've got senior Gianna DiPilato, senior Riley Hart, my other senior here, Sam Race, freshman Nina Lapine, Olivia Kasak, sophomore / junior Kamara, sophomore Resto, I don't even know if she has a first name. Sophomore Nikki DiPilato. And for the first time in program history, 7th grader, Olivia So I just wanted to thank you guys for all your support. It's great seeing you, administration and community at the matches, traveling. We had a great following down Long Island as well as Glens Falls. So we just wanted to say thank you to the community for the support throughout the entire season. It was awesome. So we appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
You know, we realize, I mean, the tremendous effort it takes to be student athletes. The work that you guys, all of you do out in public, representing Millbrook, it really makes us proud. I mean, people don't just comment on how good our teams are, they talk to us about how good our students are, what good human beings they are, what exceptional members of society they seem to be. So with that, do you guys want to each take a turn and talk about Coach Stoliker? I mean, it looks a little light. I think we're good. Very good, very good. Congratulations, guys. Facetious.
No.
Floor is yours. Yeah.
Well, good evening. I'm not sure if I should be talking about this now with disrespect. That was just, this is happening right now. But on behalf of the volleyball team, we would like to say thank you to the Coach Stoliker for everything and all the hours that he's been putting into our team and putting up with all of our nonsense. Which I should not name, but I want to say thank you for everything that you've done. And I can't wait for the next following year. Also has 300.
It's 300. Thank you for that, Simona. Thank you. Say it again. We actually have another athlete who is here all on his own for his team. Dylan Vasquez. So Dylan Vasquez was actually, he was also recognized as a scholar athlete, so congratulations for that. I read his name before. But he too had a very successful fall season, running cross country. He had an impressive 8th place finish in the Section 9 championship in the 5K race. This earned Dylan his the 4th fastest 5K time in Millbrook High School history, so that's awesome. And in addition, he was able to qualify for the New York State Cross Country Championship for the 3rd consecutive year. Dylan had a really excellent performance at states, placing 41st in the Class D race with a team with a time of 18 minutes and 17 seconds. And Dylan is as dedicated as an athlete as he is as a student, right? So that's where that scholar athlete recognition came in. He comes to practice every day, ready to work hard and accomplish his goals. And your coaches wanted you to know that they're sorry they can't be here, but they're very proud of you. And so are we, Dylan. And we have more recognition. So our talents in the community are not just on the athletic court or track, right? We have also some very talented musicians, and we have Mr. Denninger, who's here to talk a little bit about the area all-state qualifiers and their experience.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having us. So on November 17th and 18th, we had 6 musicians go to the area All-State Festival this year, chosen from hundreds of musicians throughout Dutchess County. So they were in high prestige going to this festival, and they represented us musically for sure, but also very professionally, of which we were extremely proud, not surprised, but extremely proud. And we do have one of those musicians with us tonight. So Maeve Memoriello, congratulations. I'm not going to read the names of the other chorus and band students. We also had Kate Vachon, Griffin Bialy for the band, Amber Kincannon for chorus, Eddie Nolan for chorus, and Aiden Christopher for the band.
Yeah. Now, all of our, you know, and all the extracurriculars, all the work that you guys put in, music, sports, you just can't say enough about Millbrook programs and just how shining our students are. So thank you all very much. And thank you for coming out tonight to, listen to us a little bit. Anyway.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays.
I get, first over. You gotta get a better one. I brought one. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, one day, every one, and then I. Yeah, bring it here, maybe. Yeah, that's one. You got a black shirt, you look good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. You have the same house? You were saying before?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All right, so, with that, I'd like to call to order a public hearing on, related to, the firefighter, exemption. Do I going to go? Okay. Do I have a motion to go to public session? Public hearing, sorry. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, any against? Okay. So, do you guys wanna just a little bit of background before?
So, you're gonna be taking a vote on, the number of years of service that would qualify a volunteer, for the exception. You will take a vote on the percentage, which could be 1 through 10%. You will be taking a vote for, if you want to give the exemption to a lifetime member who has put in 20 years of service or more, an active member. You will also vote if you want to, give the exemption to a lifetime member, for the spouse of an active member, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. A lifetime, for a member's spouse who died in, active duty. And then, for a spouse, for a lifetime member who was receiving the exemption, while they were alive. So those are gonna be your options of the things that you're gonna choose from. We did contact Margot about, if a member quits and they're not a volunteer anymore, what happens, and they have to have certification from the fire department that they are volunteering for, so that they can go get the exemption. So what happens is, you will go to your assessor's office and fill out the paperwork. You'll sign the application, you'll certify that application, and with them, they will have to bring, the department active member. So that's how we take care of that, but it's not up to the school district to monitor who is a volunteer. That's the assessor's job. It's your job to determine what parameters will qualify.
Okay, so, unless there's a better idea, why don't we take these one at a time? So the percentage, that we're talking about, thoughts on that percentage?
I think the percentage should kind of come with the years. I wouldn't, I mean, we gotta start somewhere. So I mean, I think if we're gonna say a longer year minimum, then maybe a slightly larger percentage and vice versa. I mean, I could start somewhere and just put out 5% for 3 years minimum service. And then we can kind of discuss it.
So why don't we
Get a starting point.
start with the 5%? But we'll knock off each one of these one at a time.
I'm just saying, if someone said minimum of 5 years, I might change my percentage. That's all I'm saying, but we could start with 5%.
I did have a question. I know we're voting on the percentages or anything. I read the law and the provisions that we're voting on. Is there any cap on what the properties is at? So if it's a $40 million property, right, that's every property is going to receive the 10%.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
not heard anything that there is a limit on the assess, on your value.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not heard that.
And did you say that last meeting, Cheryl, that there's is it one other district that in Dutchess County?
Yes,
Okay, and they're doing 10%.
they're doing 10%, yeah.
I personally have no problem with 10%. I mean, I just feel like these are volunteers who've committed. And they are putting their lives in danger. I'm up for rewarding that type of service.
Okay, so we got 1.5, 1.10.
I initially was thinking of progressive, but I thought it was gonna be 200 initially, but I jotted down, I'd be comfortable with 10% after 5 years.
And that's kind of where I was.
Yeah.
Originally.
So, sorry, Dave,
10% after 5 years was what I.
10 at 5 years?
These are services we didn't have volunteers, we'd be paying for these.
Hours?
Well, first off, let me say, because I am an elected fire commissioner with East Clinton Fire and a life member of East Clinton Fire, I am not entitled to any percentage off. Even though I have that, I will not and am not entitled to getting any money off. So let me now ask some questions. If we go with the straight 10%, then the qualifying years of service, are the school attorneys sure that we can set that, or each fire department, each district has to set years of service?
It's the district's
The district.
choice, yeah, not the fire
Okay.
department.
Now-
Yeah,
It's my understanding, and of course I could be wrong, because I've been wrong lots of times before. The intent of the law was to bring and retain firefighters. Now, there are other areas where the firefighters and ambulance personnel volunteer can claim exemptions. One is from the certain towns have exemptions for service. Then there's also on the tax form, there's a $200 exemption, and you can't claim all of them. So that's my understanding. The 20 years or more, I know it's a different section, but I don't understand. You're trying to set qualifying years of service between 2 and 5 years of active?
So you have to, so for the volunteer to qualify, you can say at a minimum,
Mhm.
really, that's what the 2 to 5 years is.
Okay.
Is to say at a minimum, you have to have 2, 3, 4, or 5 years of service to qualify.
So once they receive 20 years of service. You see, certain departments and certain fire districts, because not all departments are districts. Such as Millbrook is not a fire district. It's run through the town of Washington and paid for by the town of Washington to the village of Millbrook. And so I don't know what their life membership is, but I know in East Clinton, you become a life member at 15 years. And I don't know what life membership is in Union Bay. So you're getting into semantics. So we set a 20-year limit. So to be considered, maybe we shouldn't use the word life member. I don't know. This
So that portion of it
Yeah.
is not our,
Just the life.
that portion is not our language.
Just
The-
the life.
Granted
Right.
for life.
Or like
Once you
after-
exceed a certain-
Okay, then you
So
don't have to be
you
a.
have to be at 20 years.
Okay, got it.
That's not up to us. What's up to us is that at that point, we could say, we will
Okay.
allow,
Then all right, I understand, and then I'm fine with 10%, as I said in the last meeting. The volunteers give of their time and their health to the community, and I think the law is a good law for what it was designed to do.
Yes, I agree. I think this is an extremely heroic and selfless volunteer position. I think the pool of people it will actually affect is not that large. This encourages property owners to go out and become volunteer firefighters to get this minimum exemption, and so be it. So I would be in favor for 10%, and I would actually be at the lesser years of qualifying service to go around. Like I would mind 10% for even minimum 2 years.
Okay. Jen, are you on the call?
I am. And you may have addressed this if we grant, say, 10% after 5 years and then they leave or something, that goes away, right?
Yes, unless they make the lifetime member status certified.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with 10% at 5 years.
Okay, thanks, Jen. Chris, you wanna retake the?
No, I, like I had said, I think the years of service and the percentage kind of should go hand in hand.
Okay.
I'm okay at 5 years and I'm, open for discussion if people want to do lesser for the 10%. I just wanted to put out a starting point, is really
Well,
the
that's
point of doing it.
So, I mean, to me, it's, I wanna make sure that people aren't just, get it after a year and or get it after 2 years, to me, 5 years makes more sense, and the 10%, I think, makes sense. Otherwise, when you start getting down into a couple $100, are you really incenting anybody? So 10% in 5 years, Chris, 10% in 5 years.
I'm fine with as low as 2 years, but.
It's up to you. You
But my opinion, yeah, 10% for 2 years.
10% 2 years.
I like 5 years, 10% for 5 years.
Howard?
Since the law is designed for retention, recruitment and retention, the first award pin after the first year that a member goes through on probation, they have to complete 1 year of probation service. And then the first pin they get would be 5 years. So I would go with 5 years of service.
I would say 10% at 2 years.
10 and 2. Jen, what do you?
10 and 5, 10% 5 years.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Okay. So now, what's the next one?
If you want to provide the surviving spouse for an active volunteer that dies in the line of duty.
Isn't there one, we got the third one. Exemption for life volunteers.
Exemption for life.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Granting the exemptions to the surviving spouse of volunteers killed in the line of duty.
The only thing I'll say about that is I think the law specified unremarried spouses.
Yeah,
Unremarried spouses.
unremarried spouse.
That was it, that's
So
what.
that's the law.
Oh, yeah, I thought that, yeah.
Okay, let's just make sure. Anybody have a problem with that one?
Nope.
Okay, and then the last one is grant the exemption to surviving spouse of a member who accrued at least 20 years of active service and was
Receiving these.
receiving exception prior to that. Issues with that? Jen?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so basically, it's 10:05. Now do we close the public hearing and then, guys, is there any comments from the public? All right. So without any further ado, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So,
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, down. New business,
Old business, we'll vote on the actual resolution.
Oh, sorry.
okay,
So next we just have a
I'm sorry, I'm not here.
consent agenda.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, concerns, comments, whatever? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve, let's see, I'll fill in the blanks. At least 5 years of applicable service to the extent of 10%. The 10% exemption from school services. At least. What's the last one?
That's the number of years of service. We're not stuck with that 20. We change it, I think.
Yeah, do we want to change that? Well. Close the public hearing. Might as well leave it. Does anybody have a problem if we leave it the same as the rest of the? How would you go with that?
Yeah.
Okay, Jen?
I'm good.
Do I have a motion as per described? With the percentages and years?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. And down here again. Next is the financials. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do you have a second? Any questions or comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, now we have, letter resignation from, Rosalie, Ms. Carey, to, for purpose of retirement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Sadly, I'll second.
Any questions, comments?
Enjoy.
Other than We're gonna miss you, Rosalie. Hope you're listening. And of course. All right, we also have a letter of resignation from, Ferrari. Do I have a motion to accept? with that,
17 years in the
the
district.
17 years in the district. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any against? All right. Accept the donation from Lyle, Lyle Memorial Federated Church. Do I have a motion?
I have a question. This has been run by legal and.
Yeah. Do I have a motion?
So,
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do I have, a motion to accept the donation of $5,000 from the MEF?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments?
Thank you.
You, MEF. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the donation from the MEF for $1,250?
So moved.
Do I have a
I'll second.
Questions, comments?
Thank you.
You, all in favor? Any against?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to accept the donation of $3,342 from MEF?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
There you go. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Next is the, first reading of policy 8130.2. Did you want a quick explanation of
So
that?
this is actually a newly required policy that we worked on with the policy committee this past meeting. It is required for this policy to be in place to prevent workplace violence, but the second piece of this is that we have to also develop a training program for annual training for all of our employees. That will be done annually when we do all of our trainings, but then also we would make sure that it is provided to any new employees that are hired off-cycle throughout the school year.
All right. Oops. Do I have a motion to adopt the following resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Is this the first reading or is, are we adopting a policy?
We're adopting the policy.
We're-
We're, yeah, waiving this.
No, we're not.
Oh, that we're gonna adopt it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is, President and Vice President's report. Can you throw that thing up, Elliot? So, Dutchess County School Board Association, we met, last Thursday, to talk about a few things, but the biggest issue is we haven't been heard in the past. You know, it's, well, Arlington wants it, but Wappingers doesn't, but Millbrook doesn't, but and they sort of play us against each other. We play them, meaning like the state. Other areas like lower Hudson Valley, they come together with position statements on key items. So we've formed this thing called an advocacy committee, basically to take a set of key areas. I'll give you an example, this electric bus thing. The electric bus for Wappingers is a matter of finance. I mean, they'd have to replace so many buses, it would probably bankrupt the district. Whereas Millbrook, our big, we don't have to replace our buses, but First Student does. And they probably have to double the number of runs, and they probably double or triple the price they'd have to charge us. So we have separate issues, but we all have the same position, which is no, you can't tell us to do this. So we're taking 4 or 5 of these questions, and putting someone from, say, Millbrook and someone from Weavituck on a group that will, there's no meeting, like you don't have to go to a meeting and, you know, go into BOCES or something. You basically start an email chain on that question. And, you know, the idea being, Weavituck says, you know, our roads can't handle these electric buses because of the weight. And Wappinger says, and you come and bring it down to a specific situation, a specific position that we're gonna take and send off to the state. And there's, you know, if you look at these, if you look in your agenda, or actually you can do it here. Go to the next one, Elliot. Keep going. So these are the current priority issues. How are we gonna connect with our legislators? We don't really do. Gypsy will do something, but we don't come together as Dutchess County. The electric school buses. There are a bunch of districts that are really worried about the, the next one down, which is like, where is all the money? I'm sorry, move back, there you go. The security, the cost for all the security, people are putting 2nd, 3rd, 4th SROs on. You know, they're redoing their windows and doors to, you know, to make things more safe, but where's this money coming from? Raising the aidable salary cap for CTE instructors, right now the BOCES instructors are capped at a certain level, which I believe is quite a bit lower than what teachers can make. So they want to try, because they're having extreme difficulties in finding these instructors. So this is what, and then the 5th one is that came sort of at the end, is the mental health services in Dutchess County and New York State really have gone down the tubes. You know, there used to be great facilities that, you know, people could ask for help and find it. There's a bunch of districts that are really interested in putting together a position statement to Albany that says, you know, you got to fund this stuff. You got to try to come up with something better than what we have today. So I wanted to go to the next one. There's like, this is going to be an ongoing thing. So hopefully, like the school bus thing, you know, we get on it and we figure out what the issues are, we create a position statement, and then that thing is done, right? And whoever our person is on that email chain brings it back to Millbrook. Millbrook says, yeah, we agree with that, you know, hopefully because our person was on there working on it. We agree with that so that when one of these goes out to the state, it's not just, you know, 15 out of, like, there was one last year, the year before, that, like, I want to say 12 out of the districts supported, the other ones didn't. So it you know, and you can't send it out from Dutchess County School Board Association unless every district supports it. So that's the idea behind this. I'm hoping that we can take these things, something that people are specific, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the board members. It can be administration. It can be, you know, we can have administration and board members. It really depends on a interest level. So I'll send this presentation out to all of you. I'd really like you to think about, is there something here that you feel like you could help drive and again, it's only a matter of these email chains, you know, hey, let me tell you what the issue in Millbrook is. Let me tell you what the issue in Poughkeepsie is. And just, you know, here's what we need in Millbrook, and hopefully they'll fold all that together in these position letters that go off to the state. I think that was it, I think. And, you know, again, these are not intended to be like long things. They're supposed to be a month, you know, of email. We don't have that problem, but we have a problem like that, and work to compile that into something that we can turn into a position of Dutchess County School Board Association. So anyway, I'll send that out to you all. I hope we can get. I mean, the bus one, we really need to have numbers. You know, it's not good enough for me to get all angry and yelling about, you know, how can you do this to us? It's more about, in Millbrook, we have, you know, our budget is X million dollars. If we estimate, if we went forward with this, it would quadruple our budget, if it was even possible. And then hopefully that's it, that's, you know, and then once that letter comes together, bring it back to the board. Here's the position statement that Dutchess County School Board Association has taken on this, or wants to take on this. Is everyone okay with, from the board standpoint? All right.
Perry, I have a question.
Yep.
How is this gonna be different from, like proposing resolutions to NISBA? Because we can, as Millbrook, say, you know, this is how we feel about buses, and send in a resolution for the resolutions committee to review. Other school districts might support that.
Yep.
And then for this advocacy committee, like the, Capitol Conference and NISBA Lobby Day coming up in February, would they attend that as Dutchess County School Board outside of NISBA? Like, how
I
is
don't-
that?
I don't think this will have anything to do with NISBA. NISBA is issue by issue. You know, so what does Millbrook think about charter schools? You know, that specific thing is, you know, and when they get it at the state, they get it from Millbrook. They see Millbrook's vote. And a lot of the county, like in Westchester, they still do that, but they also have come together before NISBA to say, this is what we think, and that position goes off to the state.
Okay.
So it's a little uncomfortable because it feels like another layer. And we'll see how it goes, to be honest with you. But having Dutchess County School Board Association says, which means all districts in Dutchess County says, agreed, this is what we say. That before it, you know, it even gets to, and it's bigger issues, I think, higher level, like, you know, what's gonna happen. There's a bunch of districts that are worried about the you know, the cap, that they're gonna blow through it coming up soon. I still don't understand why, but
So, I mean, I can speak to that a little bit. So if you're looking at even the issues that are on this list, right? The rising costs of mandates, the electric bus is being a perfectly good example of what is currently a legislative mandate that is going to drive our costs way above a 2% tax cap calculation. So, I think the conversation is really more about how do we, possibly rewrite that calculation, because it's not a straight 2%, as we know. So it's like, how do we rewrite that calculation with certain exclusions that can make these things possible without decimating the programs that we have to maintain to still be schools, right? Like, that's why we're in business. And some of this is just so costly, and even the cost of, you know, inflation being factored in, some of these things being new, very heavy, you know, in terms of dollars, mandates. With currently, like, not really a lot of resources behind them.
Transportation contract went up 26% before the electric bus mandate. So the electric buses cost roughly 400% for diesel buses.
But I mean, and again, I don't wanna go like down a rabbit hole on something, I mean, the company, one of the primary companies that makes electric buses went out of business. The buses weigh 2 to 3 times what current buses, we have roads they can't go on. We don't have enough time in between to go out and get the high school kids, come back. And then turn around and go out and get the elementary school kids, because number one, there's not enough time to do that. Number two, the buses don't charge in that amount of time. So they're gonna run out of electricity before they're able to pick up that second run. And by the way, you know, they do all this testing pretty much flat as the hallway. And we don't have flat as a hallway.
And even in the colder conditions, like the
Yeah.
colder months, we're not gonna get the same battery.
No.
Like, there's so many factors that go into it. We don't have enough time in between the AM runs to charge for like the full PM runs. And then if Rick sends, you know, a sports team out somewhere, do they have the same universal charger that we would need to charge our bus to come back? There's a lot of messy stuff, right?
So the idea though is to take all that, which comes from Millbrook. Take all that comes from Wappingers and Arlington and Weavertuck. Put it together in a, are you out of your mind email? We can't do electric buses by 2030. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that believes that we can. But I don't trust the fact that they're going to go, oh, yeah, but we told you 2030, so, you know, now your aid's gonna get cut because you didn't do what we told you to, even though we gave you no money. Anyway, I'll send that out, and, I really, again, you know, there's certain things that I think need administration in them, there's certain things that some of you have backgrounds in that could do, you know, could hold your own with some of these other districts. Cause that's the other thing, is to make sure we don't end up taking, you know, one. Somebody to go toe to toe with everybody saying, yeah, and this is why Millbrook needs help, needs a change, needs whatever. All right. And I think that's it. Yeah. Right, sure.
That was all, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. A couple of exciting things. I shared a link in my grant from Quest. So this is a grant that is sort of like, if you think about the escape room concept, where there's a problem that you have to solve as a team to move on, to be able to complete a project, right? And so while it's really exciting topics that students will be working through collaboratively, it's also really kind of geared towards building like quality collaboration among students, communication skills. How do you work in a team effectively? You know, leadership, how do we build leadership? How do we foster communication? How do we bring students that maybe would not otherwise really, you know, even communicate or be friendly? How do we bring them together around a problem? So this is a grant that Dr. Watkins and Mr. Cabello worked on. This grant was awarded, so I did kind of just see an example of what this work looks like, but we are thinking to use it as part of the home-based program in the middle school and possibly expand it in a different way once the students and the teachers get used to it. But it's a really exciting opportunity for us, so we're really proud of that, and we look forward to getting the students' feedback after they're able to kind of play around in there. Also, we've had instructional coaches, Shelley Klein and Anshul Silbran, that continue to support the elementary schools with ELA and math professional development. So we're really excited to be able to have this thread running P12 and throughout the school year. Elliot was working with the BBS architects to ensure that we are compliant with the requirements for building condition survey on the rotating cycle from the state. He also met with Friends of the Gazebo and gave them the updates from the Board of Education's decision at last meeting. And in other news, as I mentioned earlier, Sean Salaher was recognized by Section 9 as the Volleyball Coach of the Year. So that's very exciting and very well deserved. Alden fifth graders spread holiday cheer by caroling for the residents at Cardinal Hayes. So that's very exciting. They do that annually and it is so appreciated by the community, and the residents at Cardinal Hayes really do love to see our students over there spreading that cheer. The Hour of Code was a great experience for the middle school students who had participated. And as you've probably seen outside the entrance to the middle school, as well as down in the village, outside the village hall, there are lending libraries that have been set up. Their community members are encouraged to give a book or take a book. One of the really exciting things, once we heard that the lending library had been installed down at Village Hall, Steve went down with the books that had been donated to go ahead and fill it up, and it was already almost full. So right away, it sort of caught up, which is awesome. The one thing that I would say is that we are putting this out there for the exchange of books, but we are not monitoring the content in it. It is a community thing from here on out. So parents, please just be mindful of, what it is that your students are taking out of it, but it was donated, by the PTO and the NJHS students, the National Junior Honor Society students painted them along with the facilities team who installed them. So thank you to everybody who had a part in that. We're just excited to be spreading, reading material throughout the district. So Parents Night Out from Elm Alden students had roughly 70 student participants. Thank you to Mrs. O'Connell and the PTO and to Dr. Watkins for her help with all of that. It was a huge success, and I hope that, it gave the parents opportunity to do some parent things this time of year. Elm Drive has a pajama day coming up that they're really excited about. They will wear their holiday pajamas or their winter pajamas, and they will read books and spread holiday cheer. They also had their snowflake, the 19th annual snowflake run today. I was able to see part of it, and it was super cute. So Mr. Russell, I don't know, he is like a magician in that gymnasium. The kids absolutely love him. I don't know, kids so excited about running around in circles, but he does it and he manages to do it, so it's really exciting. And Elm Drive also has their Blazer Blue Assembly to recognize students. They actually had it this past week to recognize students who showed gratitude and also introduce the skill of active listening. So I love that with students as little as they are, that Ms. O'Connell is unpacking, what it means to be a good citizen, what it means to be a good friend, right? So active listening is a skill that I think the sooner we start working on it, the better. But it's a really awesome thing to be introducing to even our littlest learners. The SAD Club had a Rock the Belt Fasten show, like fasten your belt, about the importance of safe driving. That took place during lunch periods at the high school this past Friday. So thank you to Marjorie Berlayan and Ms. Watts for arranging this with the high school SAD Club. On the 22nd, Millbrook High School, and I'm not sure if Mr. Safe will talk a little bit more about this, but we'll have its annual alumni panel that will come back and speak about life after high school. And we also have a specific alumna who is coming back on the 21st to speak to the high school juniors and juniors about the 14 leadership traits. So she has just completed the Navy basic training at Kings Point. And in order to progress in the program, she's required to do these presentations. So that's Emily Grassler. And then from the PPS office, a reminder to the community that we've sent out consents for reevaluation. So if your child is up for reevaluation this year, please sign that and send that back so that we can begin that evaluation in a timely manner. And super exciting event coming up is the Athletic Hall of Fame game on the 21st, and there will be recognition for the following state championship teams: the Millbrook High School boys basketball team of the class of 1999, Millbrook High School girls basketball team 2018, Millbrook High School girls basketball team 2022, and the Millbrook High School girls basketball team 2023. So that will take place this Thursday. We have, a winter spirit week that is happening in the secondary schools this week. Today was Ugly Sweater Day. Tomorrow is Grinch versus Santa Day, and I have a costume ready. I did. And then the middle school has their concert on the 20th with a snow date on the 21st. That will be at 6:30 p.m. And Alden will have mindful yoga back this Thursday. That is what I have for you.
Very good. Questions for superintendent? All right, Eric?
Good evening. Thanks for the brief opportunity to report out this evening at High School. Regarding teacher curriculum work, first National History Day competition. So recently our high school teachers, social studies teachers, worked with retired Millbrook High School teacher Georgia Heron. To learn more about our History Day competition, she shared the Dutchess County Historian resources, gave an overview of ancient documents, explained History Day, and gave teachers time to share this with our students. Then she met with interested students. 10 students met with her last week, and they plan to meet with her again in January to begin working on their History Day presentations. They hope to have their presentations by mid-March. And students who enter this competition will be eligible for prizes and scholarships. This competition is held in March, but we're very glad to have Mrs. Herring back, working with our students and teachers in this capacity. Regarding ELA supports, literacy coach Jared Jones-Roy, he returned last Monday and Tuesday to continue to work with our ELA teachers and some of our social studies teachers. He's been working with our teachers focusing on students' engagement and participation, working on like a text or piece of writing and the influence of student writing moving forward. He's been another great resource in our building. And as a result, our students and teachers are definitely benefiting from his expertise. Learning walks with Dr. Watkins. Dr. Watkins and I meet weekly, and we conduct some learning walks to see all the wonderful teaching and learning in our classrooms. We try to get into all the classrooms and stagger them as much as possible to look and support the work that Jared Jones-Roy is doing, as well as our other district areas of focus. So that's been really valuable. Special education, teacher training. Lisa Hamill also returned to support our special education teachers last week as well. She had provided a 1-hour overview training during our October Superintendent's Conference Day. Teachers really loved her insights so much that they requested for her to come back and work with them more in depth. And as a result, she did just recently, I think December 6th. Again, another great resource for our teachers. And this type of training really ensures continuous improvement cycles in our building. So that's very exciting too. Hard to believe at a faculty meeting yesterday, we're talking about upcoming midterm exams. Can't believe we're at the midway point of the school year, but here we are. So those exams will take place the week of January 22nd. Always teachers will be using these assessments to continue their planning and learning goals and to prepare them for our recent exams at the end of our school year. Regarding conduct and safety, we are up to date with our safety drill requirements prior to the winter break. We had a successful lockdown drill again this past Friday. We actually succeeded our mandated drills. And overall student behavior has been generally good compared to previous years, post pandemic. We're just really looking forward to a great second half of the school year. It typically flies by. In terms of special highlights, I know you've heard from Mr. Dunninger, but we had an amazing winter concert in our display last week. I gotta tell you, every time I go to these concerts, our performance gets better and better and better. Each time, I don't know how that happens, but we definitely have some very talented musicians and artists. So kudos to Mr. Dunninger and our students and our art teachers as well. As superintendent had shared this week, students are having some fun with the winter spirit, where I do not have any costumes ready for this
Oh,
week.
yeah, I win.
But it is always a very exciting time for our students around the holiday season. And we will conclude this Friday with our winter cup rally. It's always nice to recognize our winter sports athletes, especially with the pack and music. And then finally, again, already mentioned, but we have, in terms of upcoming events, we have our midterms coming up in addition to some mid-year benchmark assessments. That's the principal report. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you, Aaron.
Great, thank you.
All right. What's next? Any comments from public? Question? Okay. All right, committee reports, policy committee.
So the policy committee met, I think, 3 times in the last few weeks. We have been reviewing the 9,000 series of policies. And the reason for that is that some of our policies at this point have been sort of, combined into other newer policies that have already been reviewed. So we went through them, we updated where necessary, and we also made a list of policies that can be retired that will be brought forward to a future meeting. We did update some of them, as I had said. Once that series is finalized in terms of the edits, it'll be brought forward as in the entirety of this series. We also reviewed the workplace violence prevention, which is a new policy that is required, so we had done that. And a couple of other policies unrelated to the 9,000s, but they'll all be brought forward at a future meeting. The technology committee also met. We saw presentations from Matt Miller, Jillian and Jeff Barnes, and Kathy Morgan, all on their use of technology in different areas of education. And the wellness committee also met, and that was a meeting that took place in subcommittees that are on all different facets of wellness, and then brought back together for how we continue to move wellness forward in the district. So that's our committee's report.
Good. Questions? All right, the enrollment report is there for your perusal. Same thing with the suspension incident report. Okay, future agenda items, you all know, you know, if you want something and it's not in the list, make sure you let us know. With that, do we have a motion to go to executive session?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Yes, Jen, second.
Yes, before we go to executive session, just be aware for everyone that might be listening, that the agenda post-executive session may change. We may discuss something that requires a motion or action when we return. So just because we're going to executive session doesn't mean the meeting is over. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against?